Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Taroscopes. We're doing the Taroscopes for the sign of Capricorn. That's Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Rising for the month of June 2023. All right, Capricorn, let's get started. Before we get to the cards, I want to do a little astrology with you. Capricorn, we have Pluto moving back into your sign. I know you're like, wait a minute, didn't it go into Aquarius? It did, but it is coming back into your sign. It's going to go as far back, I believe, as 28 degrees of Capricorn. And then, of course, turn around, move back out into Aquarius, and then take one last little dip into to Capricorn for just, I think, 3 months at the end, and then it's into Aquarius, where it stays for 20 years. So your transformation of Pluto through your sign is, this is the last hurrahs for it. And so this is the sweeping out. This is the sweeping out. You've been through a lot of change and a lot of transformation. And thank you so much for doing that for us. Remember, you picked it. But of course, Capricorn is very responsible. So they always take take the burdens that they're given and make the best of them. Your ruling planet of Saturn is actually in Pisces now, which in a way helps you to release and let go any kind of residual stuff. It's going to be in Pisces till 2026 when it moves into Aries. And at that time makes a conjunction to Neptune, which is also in Pisces right now. Both Saturn is stationing retrograde and Neptune is stationing retrograde this month. Saturn on the 17th and Neptune on the 30th. That Saturn stationing retrograde, Saturn has been in Pisces now since March. Now it goes back over what it had moved forward through. So we have an opportunity to reevaluate and to learn the lessons of the experiences that we had since March. What are you responsible for? What are you not responsible for? What do you need to release? What do you need to keep as a seed for the next time you have an opportunity to plant a seed? So, of course, this is happening in the house of, let's see, for you, Capricorn, it is happening in your third house, the house of mind. You might have an opportunity to figure out any issues you might have with your neighbors and maybe come to a certain, if there's been issues, come to a sense of peace around that. Also helping you to find some peace of mind. When any planet moves retrograde, it requires us to look within. Saturn is very much is an outward planet because it's a planet that structures things, right? And so you need to be out there and doing stuff, and you need to be dealing with reality, although Neptune is anything but reality. So it's not the most comfortable sign for Saturn to be in as a Capricorn, but there is a resonance because Pisces does sextile your sign. So while after Pluto's been in your sign since 2008, I think you can give up the ghost here, right? And you can allow Saturn and Pisces to help sweep out anything that no longer serves. Once that's all over, you're going to be a new person. And that's going to be exciting. All right, what else is happening? Venus is moving into Leo, where she's going to stay for 4 months. Leo for you is your house of taxes and shared resources, and somebody dies and leaves you money, so it's not all bad news. You may have to redo taxes on some level or something like that, so just be aware of that. Yeah, that's right. And Venus in Leo reminds us to love ourselves. Okay, so don't forget that. We do have Mercury in Taurus, out of its retrograde shadow, finally on the 31st of May. And so we start the month with Mercury in Taurus out of shadow. And finally, we're making sense of what the last 6 weeks or so were about for us and also collectively. Taurus is your ninth house of truth. And so you will be hearing the truth maybe for the first time, or the full truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth coming up. And then it makes a conjunction to Uranus, Uranus in Taurus, and something is illuminated, a truth is illuminated, something comes to light, and then it moves into Gemini. And once it's in Gemini, let me see, did I get that right? Taurus, let's see, if it's in Taurus, it is your ninth house. Is that right? I think I'm wrong. Hold on. Capricorn. It's your fifth house. Your fifth house. I'm sorry, I did get that wrong. It's your fifth house. The fifth house is children. You might hear something, a truth around your children, a realization around your children. It's also a creative house, creative self-expression. It's also romance. And then it moves into Gemini. Mercury moves into Gemini, and that's your house of health. So watch your health this month. Listen to your body as it speaks to you and take appropriate actions. I don't see anything negative really happening, but as Mercury moves through that house, and it is a mercurial house, Virgo's house is a mercurial house. It pays to pay attention to what's coming into your consciousness, what you're feeling. Mercury rules the nervous system. It tells us what's going on the inside and outside, so we need to definitely listen. And then it quickly goes into Cancer, which is your house of relationship. And so when it goes into Cancer, there's communication. We have the sun, of course, moving into Cancer at the solstice. So the sun right now, as we start the month, is in your sixth house of your focus on your health, and then it moves into your seventh house, which is relationships, and you're seeing things for what they are. The sun in the seventh house is a nice time to get together with people that you relate to and have some good conversation, come to some agreements. It's good for legal issues, right? The sun in that house, things come to light. And we will see what that means in the overall picture, not necessarily just for you, but for all of us, right? For what's going on in the outer world. Your ruler, Saturn, goes retrograde. I talked about that, Neptune retrograde. If you want a more complete view of what's going on astrologically, you can check out my Astrology and Kabbalah of June that will come out tomorrow. I do the numerology and the tree of life, and also the first 10 days of June. So, and then each week I do the next week ahead. So if you want a more specific and a little bit deeper into the astrology, you can check that out on my channel. Okay, let's look at the cards. Now, I'm not using a tarot deck this month. I'm using the Illuminated Earth Oracle because you so let's see what's going on for you, Capricorn, Capricornius, the sea goat, the one who has plumbed the depths and risen to the heights. That's why Capricorns really come into their power as they get older. They have a lot of wisdom coming in too, but most people think they're too young to know what they know. But you guys know a lot from the very, very beginning. And sometimes you need a few gray hairs for people to listen to you. It also is true that Capricorns tend to get younger as they get older. They start out old, like the kid who looks like a little old man or acts like a little old man, and then when they get older, they start to reconnect with their inner child. It's nice to see. We start with the multiverse. This is an awareness that this isn't the only place that we exist on. So this is a multiverse, multi-level awareness that this is not the only reality. That's quite a thing for a Capricorn to know, because as a Saturn ruled planet, Saturn is usually just like nuts and bolts, black and white, but you have a much deeper understanding of that. And part of that, of course, is Pluto's journey through your sign since 2008. The challenge is an epiphany. I don't know if it's a challenge, but excuse me, I'm so sorry. I've been doing this all morning, and the pollen is just wreaking havoc on me. I apologize. The challenge is the epiphany. You know, it's one thing to know what your purpose is on this planet Earth, three-dimensional, but then add all those multiverses, and you're like, really? You know, and because you're kind of already super responsible to start with, you're like, well, I'm going to have to work for this too, right? So the challenge is the epiphany, but I think that this card indicates that you don't have to do anything. That's the one thing about the multiverse. When you're on the three-dimensional plane, you have to do stuff, but the multiverse is more, I think, of a state of mind. And so the challenge is, how do I get out of I have to roll up my sleeves and work really hard for this, and just be okay with being? I think that's what that card represents. Underneath it all, we have grief. There are still things buried in there, and I think this is what this Pluto going through this last part of the sign that has to happen. And I feel like it's grief due to the structures that have been in place, right? I'm thinking of critical race theory. I'm thinking of, you know, this whole white and right is might is right kind of stuff. All of that is being dissolved away. And there's a lot of grief to be had, and you may be feeling it. You may be feeling a deep grief within inside of yourself. Let's see what else comes up for this before I make any more comments. In the past, we have abundance. So you've always been pretty much abundant. You've always had abundance in your life, mainly because you worked for it, honestly. But even maybe when it didn't feel like physical abundance or monetary abundance, you had abundance in other ways. In the sky is support. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to accept help. This is hard for Capricorn. I have my Saturn in Capricorn, and this is hard for me. And that's the only planet I have in Capricorn. So I know how difficult it can be to ask. And because it's in the sky, this is saying to me in the way I put the cards out, it's saying to me that your support is also from spirit, not just from people, it's from spirit. And in the immediate future, we have gifts. So things are coming to you, gifts are coming to you, and you will share your gifts. So this is a good time to share your gifts. And I think it'll help allay some of the grief that you have, how people see you changing, transient. They see you changing, they see you morphing. Transient, this card is about the different phases of life and where you are and where you're at and where you're going. Always changing. Very important, very important. Let's see your domestic situation. We have air here, so give yourself the room to breathe. In your domestic situation, you may need to go to a place where the air quality is better, maybe take a trip up to the mountains or something like that. I feel like you need to maybe even clear the air in your house. If there's issues, you need to clear the air. If it's simply the stagnation of the winter, open all the wind. I know there's a lot of pollen out there. I can appreciate that. Maybe wait till it rains so all the pollen can go down, and then open the windows and let the wind blow through. Hopes and fears, the earth. you have of course, a deep connection to the earth, being an earth sign yourself. And you do worry about the planet, and you worry about all the people and the creatures, not just the people, but the creatures on the planet. Let's see the outcome. Phenomena is the outcome. This card kind of reminds me of sort of where we're at and the possibilities of where we can go. Possibilities of where we can go. As above, so below here. Okay. So the struggles we have here on planet Earth are struggles that higher beings are also having, but they have a higher perspective, so they can help us to move through that. Let's see what's underneath it all here. We have oh God, I can't read this. Influence, fertility, and mystery. Oh. So how do I want to say this? What's underneath it is that you have influence in your life. And you have the capacity to be fertile. Okay. You have the capacity to be fertile and connected to the mysterious. You are magical, my dears. You're magical. And don't forget it. You're not separate from it. You are part of it. And you can continue to be part of it. Just be open to help. You don't have to do this all on your own. None of us do. We're all in this together. And so for a sign that's used to taking on all the responsibility, sometimes it's hard to just relax. You need to do your work. You need to release some of the grief. It's not all your responsibility. And I think it's important to know that. And then you will have your epiphany. You will see your place in the world, and you will understand that all you really need to do is be. Not do, not have, not control, not lead all the time, but be. Just be you in all your beauty, warts and all, and beauty and all. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Please like and subscribe if you would. If you'd like a reading with me, I do astrology, Kabbalah, numerology readings. I have two. One is an hour and a half, one is an hour. If it's your first reading, I'd suggest the hour and a half. I do try to keep them relatively reasonable for people to afford. I'm also going to be doing a beginner's astrology class starting probably the third week in June. And for my Kabbalah students out there who have been waiting patiently for me, thank you very much. I will be starting the second half of the Kabbalah class also in June, most likely next week, but we'll talk about it. Reach out to me, I'll reach out to you guys, and we'll decide on a time to start. But I really look forward to getting back into the classroom, so to speak, and interact. I have the best students, and it's a real pleasure to teach them. All right, guys, take care, everyone. Namaste. Love you. See you next month.